Welcome everyone. I thought what better way to start 2015 than doing a system build, and what I actually do here is I'm going to pick components that I would personally buy if I was building a system today for 2015. The price point I actually picked is $1,300. Yes, that may seem a little extreme, a little high, but a lot of these components you can pick up from time to time as they go on sale and then kind of assemble your system as you go. I think $1,300 is the perfect price point for a system that's going to last for the long term. Something that's going to last 5-6 years that you're not going to have to touch, you're not going to have to change components, you're not going to have to upgrade to be able to do any type of gaming, video editing, or any type of productivity work that you may be doing in the future. So $1,300 is going to be the price point we pick here, and each component, I'll kind of give a little history on why I picked it, and maybe give it some different options depending on what your needs might be. With that being said, let's jump in. $1,300 is the price point we're looking at, so let's see what we can get for that. For the case, I'm actually going to go with the Fractal R4, and some of you may think that this is a crazy pick because this is an older case, the R5's out, but you can easily get the Fractal R4 right now for $80. Again, all these prices are current as of today. They'll fluctuate from time to time, but as sales go, you know that prices will go up and down. So with this case, is easily you can get for $80 pretty handily here in the US. It's not that difficult to come across, and I think it's an all-around case that'll suit anyone's needs extremely well. It's built grade. It's got a side window if you want. It's got a little bit of padding that's going on the inside that's noise dampening. It's a quiet case, which I think is great. So $80, we're going to get a nice case and go there. With the motherboard, I actually picked the Asus Z97-A, and this is a pretty bare bones motherboard. It's going to have everything you need, plenty of USB 3.0, SATA cable. It's got a good power optimizer. I think it's like a 5-way power optimizer that they got with it. With the newer chips that are out right now, most of the work is actually being done by the CPU. So the motherboard it's more feature based. It's not so much as important to get the highest end motherboard out there. Honestly, I don't think motherboard has much to do with gaming. I don't think it's going to affect that in the long term. You may be able to get a half or 1 or 2 frames per second by doing a little overclocking, and a higher end motherboard may be able to help with that. For the processor, I actually went with the Intel Core i5 4690K. And it is $235 right now. About $240 is about what it's at, but it's on sale on Amazon currently for $235. This is a sweet point. It's a Core i5, which doesn't have hyper-threading, which is going to hurt video editing a little bit, but you're not really going to notice it that much. The Core i5 it's a K series. It's unlocked. You can overclock it. That's kind of the sweet point when it comes to starting out building a PC, is getting that i5. You can upgrade to an i7 in the future. We're on the Intel 1150 socket, which is the current one. So when new chips come out, we'll be able to upgrade pretty easily. That power supply, I went with the EVGA SuperNova. This is a 750 watt power supply that actually has a 5-year warranty, and it's on sale right now for $40. That does require a $30 mail-in rebate. That is an excellent deal for $40. It's 80 plus bronze, so it's going to be pretty efficient, and it has a 5-year warranty, which I really look for in a power supply. Yes, I would have liked to see Sonic or Corsair or something that's got the 7 to 10-year warranties, but those cost a little more. When it comes to power supplies, I would look for one that gets good reviews. Most power supplies, the ones out there are built by Seasonic anyways. They're just rebranded. Just make sure that it's 80 plus. I'd say at least bronze. Silver or gold would be ideal, but bronze will work, especially with your new system. You can kind of cut a little corners there. So $40, you're going to be able to get that. You're going to have to do a mail-in rebate, but honestly, there's no issues with mail-in rebates, I don't think. So I'd pick that up. EVGA has great customer service, so that's another reason to jump into this. Shop around for power supplies. They go on sale pretty often, so it's pretty easy to find a decent 750 watt power supply for that $40 to $60 range, but we got one for $40 today. And that leaves us for the fun part of the system, and that is the GPU. And I actually picked 2 GPUs here. AMD fans might not be happy, but I'm sticking with NVIDIA mainly because their GPUs, they use such less power. They run so much cooler. The newer ones right now some of the fans don't even turn on. They're that efficient. For the GPU, I'm actually going to go with the NVIDIA 970, and the two different options I picked was the EVGA 970. This is with the ACX fans on it. This is EVGA's newer design, and would actually, when the GPU's not running very, it's not using a lot of power or not having to require much work, the fans will actually not spin, and it will make your system even quieter, and that'll go great with the Fractal R4. And this GPU is running right now at $345 on multiple websites, so it's pretty easy to find. The Asus 970 Strix is another GPU that's running about $240 that I would definitely look into. Asus is known for their excellent cooling, and that's going to be another way to go if you prefer the Asus branding. The 970, I believe, is the sweet point for GPUs right now because it's almost as fast as the 980. It's a newer technology. It uses almost no power. I mean, it's two 6-pin connectors instead of, let's just say the 680 or the 7970 from the AMD camp that were actually using almost, you know, an 8-pin and then a 6-pin, or some are using two 8-pin connectors, which just mean that they're drawing a lot more power than this card. So I think that's really the way to go in the future. Stick with NVIDIA, I think, for now. I like AMD. I ran a 7970 for a very long time, but I would go with the 970 right now if I was buying a GPU. And for the RAM, I went the Kingston HyperX Fury, 8 gigabytes, 2x4, 1600 megahertz for the clock speed, and that's going to run us at $67. Yes, this is not some of the higher end RAM out there, but honestly it doesn't matter. For gaming, all you need is 8. Video editing, unless you're doing some really hardcore video editing, even in Adobe, 8 gigabytes is all you're going to need. You can upgrade in the future. The only thing that I don't like about this memory is that it's blue. So if you're not a fan of the blue, you can get some G-Skill snipers for about $10 more. But I'm going to stick with these for the $67 price point because it's a sweet price point, I think, for that. The Kingston has great customer service, great reviews. It's a really good memory kit. And you have to get an SSD. For SSD, I'd go with the Crucial MX100 or the Adata 610. Both these are excellent SSDs. They're running about $100. You can get them for $90 from time to time if you shop around. These aren't the best, highest end, fastest SSDs out there, but you're not going to notice a difference. They both carry 3-year warranties. They're both going to last well beyond that unless there's some type of freak accident. You're not going to be able to run through an SSD. I'm still running a few really old Intel SSDs that I've had 4, 5, 6 years, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're still running just like they did when I bought them to begin with. So looking at both of those, there's I like Samsung's 850 EVOs, but for the price point, they're just not quite there. If I was personally picking one, I'd probably go with the Crucial MX100. It's a newer drive out there. Everybody's recommending it. So that would be a drive that I would pick up. 256 gigabyte is not as fast as the 512 gigabyte version, but this is the price point we have to stick with, and that'll give you plenty of room to put some games. You'll be able to put all your programs on there. A few games here or there. Games are so high in range that we actually had to put a hard drive in here. For the hard drive, I went with the Western Digital Blue. You can get that or the Seasonic Barracuda. They're about $55. Between that $50 and $60, you're going to be able to get 1 terabyte of storage data. That's all I have. I have a 1 terabyte older Western Digital hard drive that's not even nowhere near full. So you're going to have plenty of options to fill this bad boy up with videos, or if you're doing some video work and you got some files to put on there, some photos, you're not going to fill it up for a decent amount of time. So pick that up for that $55 price point. For the cooler, this is a personal preference, but I went with the Swiftech H220X. I personally run a Swiftech. It's an old H220, which I've had for a very long time. But the H220X is their newer version, and Swiftech, it's a US company, uses copper for its radiators, which allows you to get a little bit better cooling than some of the aluminum radiators out there that are a little cheaper. And yes, this is going to be $140, but this thing will last forever. You can drain it, you can put your own fluid in, you can change the tubing on it. There's all kinds of customization you can do to it, or you can just throw it in like I did and just let it run. It's very quiet. I would maybe recommend upgrading the fans. The fans are just kind of average, if you ask me. I haven't used the new ones yet, but the old ones, they were okay. But if you throw in some different fans in there, some Noctua or some Cougar, you're going to get a whole lot better performance. But pick that cooler up, Swiftech H220X, for $140. I know it's kind of steep. If you want to cut a little bit off this system, throw in a Cooler Master Hyper 212. It's an old air cooler that does great. It'll get you by for a while, and it'll do much better than the stock cooler that comes with the CPU. And then Windows 7. I allowed a $100 budget for Windows 7, Windows 8, whatever Windows you want to put on it. That's really the only two. XP's dead. So Windows 7 or Windows 8 for $100. You can get Windows 8 for like $90 right now, I believe, even on Microsoft's website. So if you want that, if you want Windows 7, pick one of those. So that's going to round us out at 13.